Back. You're still watching Proud right here on Citizen TV, and we continue with our news review this morning, and we want to look at the headline on the Star. Yes, Kidero letter exposes rift in Raila party. The Nairobi governor writes protest letter to ODM Secretary General after Raila Odinga ally Junet Mohammed allegedly said Kidero will not get the party ticket come 2017 election. I think we do have this story. Let's run it, then we'll discuss more.
As the clock ticks towards the 2017 party primaries, jitters are already being felt in some parties, with some candidates seeking an assurance that the exercise will be free and fair. Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero has written a protest letter to the acting ODM Secretary General Agnes Zani over utterances alleged to have been made by Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed, who also doubles up as the party director of campaigns. The two-page letter dated 7th September and copied to party leader Raila Odinga claims that while at a Nairobi restaurant, the lawmaker was heard saying that Governor Kidero will not be the ODM flag bearer in the Nairobi gubernatorial race. Kidero says Junet made the assertion while in the company of a lawyer with links to the ruling Jubilee coalition and a county executive committee member of Nairobi county government. In the letter, Kidero claims that the party has already made a decision on who will vie for the much sought-after post of city governor on the ODM ticket, as the party appears to have sidelined him. Kidero asked the party to give him an assurance that the results of the party primaries will not be predetermined. Speaking to Citizen TV on phone, Suna East Member of Parliament Junet Mohammed downplayed the claims, saying that even as the party director of campaigns, he has no powers to handpick a candidate, and that it is the people of Nairobi to finally decide who they elect governor. Kidero's woes within the party are partially believed to have been as a result of his move earlier on in his term to warm up to the Jubilee administration.
Wajiunge wasipojiunga, liwe liwalo, waibe wasiibe, we will take Raila to State House.
The alleged utterances by Junet coming just before Kidero made what was seen as a technical appearance during ODM's 10-year anniversary in Mombasa. With the new law barring party hopping already in force, if locked out during the party primaries, Kidero will have no choice but to bid farewell to the county chief's position. The dispute within the Orange Party is expected to be resolved after Raila Odinga returns from a trip to Germany.
Yes, and I'm here with Hassan Omar, Senator Mombasa County, and Kibra MP Ken Okoth, and looking at what we've just seen and the letter by Kidero, surely what is happening within ODM? Of course, there's a fear that after that the nominations will not be really free and fair. Because that's a fear across the board. It's not just within ODM, within I think even Wiper. Everyone is concerned that this direct nomination and party officials saying one thing and promising something different.
I think direct nomination, first of all, is allowed. It's one way for parties to nominate.
Yes.
And a majority of nominations of the candidates on the ballot last year were direct nominations, mainly from the smaller parties. It's only in the major parties that there's contested nominations, yes. And many of the other parties just make direct nominations. So what I would say is, when you're considering direct nominations and you're going to do that, for instance, the best way to approach an election, if you're a big party like ODM or Jubilee, is to think and do your research and say, which are your green zones where you're guaranteed your support and your strongholds with multiple candidates. There may be whole competitive nominations there. Which are your orange zones, yellow zones, that you might get some support. Then figure out how do you turn strong candidates into from those areas to come to your party and bring with you the support they want. Which are your red zones where it's just hopeless, you're not going to get support, and let those be. You know, where there's a big competition, the ones whose green zones are one thing are red zones for the other.
Are you saying that Kidero is probably not a very strong candidate?
No. What I'm saying is, therefore, if you're going to use direct nominations anywhere, Nairobi is a green zone for ODM. Yes. You cannot use direct nominations in Nairobi. People have to square it at nominations. Now, if you're going maybe to Murang'a County, where it is a difficult place, a red zone for ODM, instead of wasting people's time on a nomination, nominate directly a strong candidate there, support them, and make sure they bring as many votes as possible, even if they don't win the election. If you're going to do direct nomination in any place, my key point is, do not dare take money from any other candidates and tell them there will be a nomination, which there won't be. You know, that is where the seeds of bitterness and disruption come in. Yes. If you're going to do direct nominations, please let everybody know 1 year ahead, 8 months ahead, 6 months ahead. Let people know and say that seat is reserved, that ticket is given to so-and-so, and you better get in line and support, and we're sure we're going to win it to that candidate. So nobody puts in their $1,500,000, $200,000 nomination fees, which you take as a party to be ostensibly to conduct the nomination, which you're not planning to conduct fairly or to conduct at all. That, I think, is wrong, and no party.
First and foremost, I want to assure everybody that Wiper will be fair in its nomination process. Even the Secretary General, we have undertaken more nomination processes in various places that we have had by-elections. Where even in other places that the candidate who has emerged victor by a couple of hundred votes, and he has backed the candidate that he lost, he lost to. So we have precedents.
Even in Ukambani region?
In Ukambani, particularly Masongela. In fact, in Ukambani is where we are extra careful, and all other places. So Wiper will have free and fair nominations. I take that as an undertaking. Even my brother Witi, who's running against me, has nothing to worry. Wiper will not have joint nominations within court. We will run a candidate in each and every position available. The only place that we'll have a coalition of agreements is at the national level in terms of the presidency. Nowhere else. So anybody who's peddling rumors out there that there will be a joint nomination in Nairobi or in Mombasa or in any other place, you can take this to the bank. There will be no joint nomination anywhere.
Back to the Kidero.
Thirdly, so I wanted to just make those clarifications first and foremost. Thirdly, on the Kidero matter, I agree with Kidero's letter to that extent, and he should ignore Junaid Mohammed to that extent, where Kidero says he's careless. I think sometimes my brother Junaid, I have a lot of admiration for him, but he sits in a place, and he sits in a TV station, and he thinks he's Raila. He's so careless and arbitrary with his remarks, so almost to a point of recklessness. I think you have to exercise a certain judgment when you are charged with a certain responsibility in terms of your utterances. I also moderate my utterances sometimes with a lot of patience. So when you go and make such utterances, and I believe Kidero in that regard, it's typical of Junaid. He will tell you just now, we will not elect you. You are not, and you're thinking, this man, if Raila today just pulled the mat under his table, under his feet, he's done. He's nobody.
But so even the campaign,
so it cannot be ignored. But I can tell you, if Raila is a politician, I have learned a lot from him. He will put these two cups together and see which one has more liquid in it. And I can tell you, when Raila puts Kidero and Junaid here, Junaid only helps him with a perception issue that the Luos are voting in a Somali. On this other end, Kidero brings in a lot more value in terms of the governor of the capital. I can tell you for a fact that Kidero has resources to support the campaign. They do need resources, you know. He can put his money where his mouth is. And in addition to that, the formations of Nairobi politics is beyond just the Raila loyalties. It's a broader loyalty, which you need to bring in a lot of other interests and stakeholders. So Kidero can marshal some of these interests and stakeholders in Nairobi, which I think Junaid needs just an ODM ticket. So I think what Raila must do at a certain time, I even tell him once in a while when I meet him, is to have some of these young men and women who are said to be close to him or are hanging on to his coat to moderate. I also regard myself as fairly close to Raila and fairly close to Kalonzo Musyoka and very fairly close to Wetangula. But I don't make utterances that are in breach of that public trust or in breach of the very fairness or perception of fairness. And especially when ODM, unfortunately, and you know this, suffers a crisis of perception in terms of its nomination, it doesn't do any good when you then go and proclaim yourself so loudly in a restaurant that you are not going to, you can take it to the bank that Kidero is not the governor of Nairobi. Who says that that matters?
But for a party official, and Junet Mohammed is the ODM director of campaigns, and someone considered to be very close to the party leader Raila Odinga, to make such a statement, we know he doesn't have direct interest in Nairobi, but probably the feeling is that he could be speaking for someone else.
I think Junet Mohammed brings a lot of energy to his job, but on this one, he owes Kidero apology, he owes a party apology. You cannot be in such a high position within the party executive council and have such a prominent position, then to be seen to be biased. And if you look at the way ODM is structured, we have the top party leadership, we've got our governors, very many, we have the most number of governors in this country, and those governors represent pockets of support and influence in terms of voter baskets and things like that. Nairobi was the biggest vote basket for ODM. So to start messing up with Nairobi in that way, I think Junet made a mistake, and I think he can apologize and should apologize quickly. It shouldn't be anything bigger than that. I think Governor Kidero has a job to deliver for ODM, to say, here's my strategy, here's my resources, here's my team, this is the number of votes as registered in Nairobi, how many more we're going to register, and deliver, and he delivers. That spares our presidential candidate to focus less on Nairobi, knowing that there's a competent hand. But you can't accomplish that bigger benefit that we want, an organized Nairobi team, focused, led by Governor Kidero, to capture the Nairobi vote. Yet at the same time, you're having someone in the party hierarchy undermining him or being seen to be biased against him and undermining him. That pulls us back. It hurts Raila because he needs a forceful president, and he needs to be out there focusing Nairobi as a green zone under the leadership of Kidero, and he needs to be out there looking for votes in other places which are yellow zones and solidifying that support. In Masai land, look at Ntimama's funeral yesterday. That vote in Narok is up for capture. It's not guaranteed, it's a Jubilee vote. And we need Raila there rather than Raila in Nairobi. You know, that's what I'm saying. So I think it's a slip. People should acknowledge mistakes when they've made them, and we move on. Kidero should forgive once it's clarified this was a mistake. Junet won't repeat it again. And
we sure it was a mistake?
Can I say something? First and foremost, Nairobi is the only county, I think, where there's a coalition arrangement. Are you aware that Nairobi is a coalition between Wiper and ADM? Our deputy governor, the young dynamic Jonathan Mweke, is a Wiper member, and is an official of Wiper. He is in partnership or a coalition with Dr. Evans Kidero, and therefore Wiper supports Kidero's government on account of that coalition. So whatever barbs and careless remarks that are thrown by Junet are neither here nor there. And therefore we support Governor Kidero to that extent, where he is serving in a coalition arrangement with Wiper, and we want to assure him that it was within his place to start raising this bells or alarm. But I can tell you, I agree with Ken. There are people who are going to make life so difficult for CORD because of trying sometimes to pull down a few things here and there, rather than try to erect. Like in Kidero, I don't mind a CORD candidate running against him, but I also don't. It is futile for people to go and make those proclamations. Particularly if Junet wants to run for Nairobi governor, he is invited to do so, and he can present his beat. But he should not now go around helter-skelter pretending that he speaks for Raila Odinga, that he is Raila Odinga. You know, he's lost in himself. Sometimes you speak to him, unfortunately, you like, oh my brother, there is a limit. You know, this is politics. I tell you, you can be cut off like a malignant growth. You know, you trust me, in politics, it doesn't matter, it is interest. You can, the day when Baba decides it's the end of you. You know, Mzee has this way of just saying, he does not even listen, and it's like he just nods, and bro, he nods you out of that position of sooner. Just play your politics to the extent that you are building Mzee, not ruining him.
Yes, but Ken Okotha, do you agree that Junet is dispensable at this point, and that he should actually be careful about his utterances?
You want to build a big tent, bring everybody with their values and assets and something they can add. You know, he mentioned here often that Junet helps Raila with a perception issue that Luos can vote for
and it is an important perception.
Well, politics is a lot of times about perceptions, but it goes beyond perception. I think he was correct there, but I want to take it further and say, look, in Nairobi, for instance, our county here, ODM is the only party whose national assembly membership and senate membership reflects the diversity of the face of Kenya. We've got Iraj Tsumra in Embakasi, we've got Tim Wanyonyi in Westlands, we've got Simba Arati, the first Kisi elected to the National Assembly from Nairobi in over 50 years of Kenyan history. In ODM, you've got myself. So you've got this mix of people in there. So I don't think it's not just a perception issue, it's a reality issue. Even in our nominations, if we're talking perceptions, look at Honorable Isaac Mwaura, who's left us. He worked for 5 years under the Office of the Prime Minister as a Special Advisor on Disability Issues. He was nominated to represent disability issues as an ODM in the National Assembly. He's done a good job with us. Now he wants to run for a seat in Ruiru, which is a tribal enclave, sadly, and he has realized to win there, he has to go to another party, and he has done it with decorum. I must give Mwaura props for that. He's done it with decorum without insulting his mentor, Raila Odinga. He said, unfortunately for me to proceed with my career as a young man, I am moving. You know, I can't begrudge him that. But the only step would be to demand you resign. But he's not the only person who's defected and refused to resign. And which is the irony with Jubilee. They say that they want one party to consolidate democracy and party discipline. Yet when they parade traitors or defectors at Kasarani, they don't demand of them to resign. I won't see the political parties, IEBC or the Speaker issuing writs that those seats are empty for them to be sponsored now as Jubilee candidates right now. But we are waiting. So you see there's a sort of farce.
Can I say something though, about these defections? First and foremost, it's very simplistic. First and foremost, we've monetized politics in Kenya. We've monetized. Some of the politicians were screaming about Jubilee's cash. It's not because they're screaming about Jubilee's cash genuinely.
They want some.
It's because they don't have as much cash. They themselves will have loved to launch with 400 cars and 2 billion shillings. They themselves will have loved it because Kenyan politics, as it stands now, is monetized. It is skewed against those with ideas but without money. So we must continue to expand that space. That's why I was careful about Wiper providing the alternative. I was telling, when Jubilee is flossing 400 cars with a 300 million delegates conference, we needed to do things differently. We don't start launching one ragged bus and say you are flagging off 47 and a few other cars. The opulence or retaliation of opulence is not is the politics of optics. Yes. It is not the politics of antics. We need the politics of ideas, the politics of ideology, so that people can be able to drive an agenda and be able to evaluate one on the merits or demerits of the position he represents and the background he comes from. Secondly, I think it's very, so we've played money politics since our inception. Then now we just realized that Jubilee has stolen so much and is able to buy almost all our memberships. You know, they parade quite a bit of our people. That's why our politics must be about ideology. It is because people don't see really what fundamental difference there is. We've made politics just about the capture of national government and capture the state to loot. So because we have narrowed our interests or our definition of politics so narrowly, so when you don't capture the national government, people will go to the opposite side. So it is just like crossing, zigzagging and crossing over in the same outfit but with different names. So if there was ideology in our politics, it would be that you're a social democrat, a democratic socialist, and you're crossing to some kind of ultra-right, right-wing. But when we all appear right-wing, we all want the state for the same purpose. We all want money or monetized politics. We all are not exuding any superior ideas. We all appear, you know, to be people of the same congregation. You look at all the congregations of almost all parties, including my own. You will see the looters of the Nyayo regime. You'll see the perpetrators of violation. You'll see the drug barons across the board. I said even including my own party. So what is this difference that you're apparently selling? So you're just on the same side, on different sides of the same coin. So until we anchor this last 7-8 months as a politics of ideas, we had an excellent opportunity to tell the Kenyan people, look at what Jubilee is doing. We'll have used that as a solemn occasion. That yes, look, Eurobond and Anglo leasing is doing what it's doing. So for us now, this is what we stand for. This is what we represent. In fact, that ODM 10 at 10 should have been a moment rather than show, try to demonstrate opulence, is to demonstrate humility and public service.
Best opportunity?
Not at all. I think I agree with Senator Hassan that we need to amplify what are the ideological differences between these different political vehicles. Otherwise, the Kenyans will just see them as another group of people trying to capture the state, steal the money, and enrich themselves. And it goes back to the point I started with at the beginning of today's show and said, ask yourself, who were you elected for your MCA? Who were you elected for your governor? Are they just a glorified tribal thief who will steal more? And I think devolution actually, in many senses, bringing democracy and resources down helps us, because then the people of Nyeri have to ask themselves, the governor you're running against and his opponent are all from the same ethnic group. So they have to tell you something different beyond, oh, mimi ni wenyu. They have to tell you something different. I will deliver services better. I will do this better. And I think it's unfair a little bit for Senator Hassan to say that all the parties look alike and everybody in the system. Some of us are in this. I don't think he has any record of stealing any 1 shilling of public resources. And even before he came to public life, in his prior professional life fighting for human rights, there's no record of him stealing even 1 shilling. So why is he tainting himself by saying they're all like that? They aren't. I am here and I don't have any record of stealing anything. So I think we just have to correct that, because otherwise you give the Kenyans so gloomy a picture that they give up, they surrender. There's no hope. I think there is hope, and we need to start one.
When I say that, I say dispassionately of the position I hold. I know Ken, of course, is a great guy. I will give him a wiper ticket any day. He is one of the few breeds in the coalition. He's one of the guys. Who you look at and you see hope. And I know about 10, 20 others who are from across the political divide. Who, even if I say today in my heart, I was like, even if he's up in a Jubilee zone and in a Jubilee ticket, I would say, if that man or woman wins, I am confident he will come and espouse some values in this parliament, and therefore good men and women are across the board, but they're in the minority.
They are in the minority.
And these parties
amplify the light on them.
Who is amplifying you? Ask yourself. Why are they not amplifying you? That's why I'm just wondering. When you amplify yourself and I amplify myself, it's different from what the party feels.
Gentlemen, let's take a look at and this is the final story we're looking at, and it's on the front pages of all the dailies. And yes,